You've seen the thumbnail and you see correctly 35 euros for a 12-year-old whiskey. It is a single malt. It's not really ticking any boxes. 43% ABV, not natural color, of course not chill filtered, but 35 euros for a bottle. Now I've just went through the duty-free store in Dubai, and I went to the Macallan store, or the Macallan boutique store. Yeah, quite an experience. Some crazy, stupid, highly expensive whiskies available there. Do yourself a favor. When you go past Dubai airport, go have a look. It's stunning whiskey. It's expensive whiskey. It's 40, 50-year-old whiskies. And of course, the new color edition whiskies that they have, the 12-year-old and the 18-year-old, 21-year-old. And I encourage you, go look. Well, the 12-year-old is at $80. Now, I thought to myself, what am I going to pay for it in Belgium? I had a look, 99 euros, so 100 euros for a 12-year-old. You can pick it up there for $80, which I thought was quite reasonable. Of course, we are talking Macallan. So, yeah, I think we are paying for the PR, definitely not for the box design. It's terrible. It's done by a child, I think. But that brings me to today's whiskey. Now, I went online. I just had a wee little holiday, cost a fortune. And so the budget is definitely not there to go for the expensive ones. I picked up some really cheap whiskies just to give it a nosing and tasting. And of course, the Glen Elgin 12-year-old. Myself, well, maybe that is a bargain at that price for a 12-year-old. It is, of course, from the Glen Elgin distillery, owned by Diageo. Well, love or hate Diageo. They are here to stay. They buying up everything that they can. So we have to put up with whatever they, well, at whatever ABV they want to give us. So quite an old distillery, founded in 1898. And so, yeah, been in the business for quite a long time. They are basically making whiskey primarily for the blended whiskey industry, and White Horse comes to mind. Well, you can tell me nothing about White Horse. I grew up with White Horse. I grew up with blended whiskies, and my dad was also a lover of whiskey. And White Horse was always there at the back of the cabinet for his special occasions. Well, at that stage, White Horse was for a special occasion. Not so much anymore. But yeah, 35 euros for a bottle. I think it is a good price. Now, I did pour this one maybe 20 minutes ago, as you can see. There is some color added, not 100% sure, very difficult, especially with Diageo. You never know with them, but I could not find any information. But it's got a nice light golden color to it. So definitely nothing wrong with the color. If I did add, must have been a wee drop or two. It is mature mostly in ex-bourbon casks, and when they finish it off with a sherry cask, again, no information on what type of sherry. So I expect it is, well, not a big sherry influence, consider 12 years old, and of the very light color in it. So maybe a little bit of a tired cask or a very old sherry cask. But we are not here to judge. Well, we're not here to judge the way they implement their whiskies. I'm not going to judge the way they make it. It's all for me about the nosing and tasting. And this one, and before we start, just a quick reminder, please remember to like, share and subscribe. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers before the end of the year. And of course, I can only do it if you do me that favor and do the like and subscribe. Also, just a quick reminder, I do have a Patreon account. Money doesn't come to me, it goes to children in South Africa. We are looking after 75 kids. Quite a lot of money needed for food and clothing for them. So if you feel generous, you can buy me a dram. That money will go to them. I think you can start about €2 a month, so that's nothing. So if you feel like you want to donate, please let me know and go to my Patreon account. So on to the whiskey. Now, I did say I poured it a little bit, well, maybe 20-25 minutes ago. And there's a reason that I poured it and waited a little bit. That initial pour, that fresh pour that I did, I get a little bit of a ashy note, a little bit of a cigarette ash note. So I was I was not impressed with that. And I put it down, I left it, that disappears quite fast. And then you are left with something that's quite pleasant. Then the first thing that I do pick up, it's strong on the nose. Even at that 43%, I was very surprised. Now, if you wake it up a little bit and you stick your nose into it, it's strong. It's quite ethanol-y, but it does kick you in the nose. And it feels for me 48% ABV at least. It is strong, but that youthful note, that little nail polish remover note was quite a surprise. Even at 43%, I was a little bit taken aback by that youthfulness, and 12 years old, it did not feel like a 12-year-old. But give it a little bit of time in the glass, give it that little bit of that oxygen, just to calm it down, let that phenols escape, let that little alcohol evaporate, just to bring it down a little bit and make it a little bit more friendlier on the nose. And once you get past that initial shock, you get a nice citrus note. There's a little bit of orange peel, and it's bloody windy outside. I'm not sure if you pick it up on the microphone. We are in Belgium. It's a storm outside. The wind is blowing like crazy. So bear that in mind. With the quality may be a little bit going down, but we go on. So definitely a little citrus note. There's that orange peel. There's a little bit of a vanilla type note, but a very light vanilla, the hint of it. And then, of course, I also get a little bit of a light honey note. There's a little bit of a cinnamon note comes out, but that comes after spending a little bit of time, but very subtle note. And remind me a little bit of a Christmas cake, but it's not an in-your-face Christmas cake, that one that you bake and you brandy every week for 6 months. It's not a deep, dark Christmas cake. It's just that light one, the fluffy one. And then I get a little bit of a sweet and sour note. Now on the nose, definitely not a sweet one. Even for me, I would not have guessed that with the color and the nose. I would not guess sherry cask influence. For me, I would have gone straight for just bourbon. So I think with the sherry finish, it must have been a very short time or very dry cask. There's also a little bit of a tart note in it. And then every now and again, I get a little bit of a freshly cut flower, that little green note from the stem, and a little bit of a flower influence, little summer flowers. So definitely quite pleasant on the nose. It's a nice summer whiskey for me. That's definitely something that I would appreciate in summertime, the lightness of it. Now, of course, we need to taste it as well. So cheers. Now this is the surprise on this one. You have all this light flavors on the nose that hint of all these different elements that you get. Once you taste it, it's intense, it's sharp, it's spicy, and you have a little bit of a roller coaster in the mouth. You are hit with this oiliness that's very sweet, and then you get a sour note, and then immediately it moves over to a oaky note, quite oaky. The oak does kick in, especially if you take a big sip on this one. And I think be careful with this one. It does also taste way stronger than the 43% suggested. If I have to go on taste, I would have immediately said 48%, even 50%, because it's that strong on the taste. And then, of course, in the end, you get that oakiness, that little oak tannins coming out, that bitter notes that comes in. And I think it is also a good balance, because it is super sweet on the taste and quickly goes into that tannin just to take away some of that sweetness. That oiliness, I do like the oiliness in it. It really coats the mouth. Just one more try. Cheers. It's sweet. There's a little caramel note comes out. There's a little bit of that spicy note every time. It's sweet, spicy, sweet caramel spicy. So it's a little bit of a roller coaster ride, and a hint of the bitter note in the end again. And then you go back. But I suggest, if you drink it like this, neat, give it some time. Take a small sip. There's no rush. Enjoy it. Let everything go through the emotions of the sweetness, the spiciness, the caramel notes, all of those notes. Let it disappear, and then take another sip. No need to drink this fast. If you keep on that suggestion, I think you are going to enjoy it. If you are going to throw this thing down the throat, it's going to be a hot one, and I'm not sure even if I want to, I'm not sure that's the way I want to drink my whiskey. So my final thoughts: 35 euros for a bottle. Now, you might be paying a little bit more, but this was an online price that I saw in Holland. I normally buy my whiskey online in Holland. If I want to buy a full bottle, it's a little bit cheaper than in Belgium. And of course, all my samples come from a local store here in Belgium. Not always super cheap, but of course, if you have a whiskey review channel, you cannot keep on buying full bottles just to do one video and then put it away for the next one. Yes, my budget does not allow for that. So definitely something that I would recommend for somebody that are on a budget, looking for something with an age statement. Nowadays, no age statement whiskies are going up 80-90 euros for no age statement whiskies. For me, that is absolutely ridiculous. I cannot keep on buying these whiskies. So if you've tried this one, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. I also made a budget whiskey video, the previous one. So if you want to see more on budget whiskies, go have a look, see what you think about that one. Leave a suggestion. Any suggestions with budget whiskies is welcome, and if I can get a sample somewhere or buy a cheap bottle, I will definitely try to do a review on that as well. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, share and subscribe, and I see you next time. Cheers.